Thank you very much for joining me on this Thursday. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. Significant flooding on the way. We're going to dive into that. Very important. This here, it's what's left of Lisa. We're thinking of you in Belize with the damage. Thank you for those comments. Heavy rain parts of Costa Rica, Panama into Colombia. Little flare up near parts of northern Colombia and Venezuela, near the ABC Islands. Some shower storms, Trinidad and Tobago. So we've had some scattered about, but you can see some of the pockets of some of the heavier weather. Look at this, though. This is the outlook from the National Hurricane Center where tropical development can be. And if you're from the Bahamas, as you stay with these videos the next few days, I'll continue to stay with you and track this. The immediate concern will be here first and then through the Bahamas. Got everyone covered best I can, but we're going to see a huge plume of moisture developing in the Eastern Caribbean. And that's why I mentioned I want to get into this channel is about safety. So about what we're seeing here. And then again, we will track how this system develops over toward the Bahamas, but a ton of moisture. I think we've been talking about this for about a week and a half now as far as the potential of this is concerned. So there's that area that could develop tropically, but I want to caution, sometimes you get drawn to something like that. It's other spots too. That's just where, you know, a system may get a name eventually. But look at this, outside of that zone. This is by the time we get into tomorrow night. The heavy rain builds. Where it builds exactly, it's going to be tricky because I know, you know, we've got some bigger islands. We've got some smaller islands. You know how it goes. You can see some of the rain offshore sometimes. So I'm going to be watching that and starting to build up through the Bahamas too. But where it sets up, there is going to be a lot of rain. I can't stress that enough. You don't often hear me sound like that. There's going to be a lot of rain. You see it here and for a prolonged period of time. This is 2 o'clock on Saturday. Still some of the rain here tracking the flooding near Panama. All of this feeds in. It feeds in back through Barbados, but somewhere from basically Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Montserrat, heavy amounts of rain and flooding for a long duration too on Sunday. So it's not for all of us. I don't want to do a scary weather channel or anything like that. It's not for all of us, but where these plumes set up, and we're just going to kind of have to wait and see together, that's not good news at all, because that is just going to continue to feed some moisture. Now, as that moves up, I mentioned the Bahamas, again, the heavy rain, watching the bands, but an area of low pressure is going to develop. This is by Monday. So again, days from now, still some of the rain. You got one plume here, another plume here. So it could be over the same spots 2, 3, even 4 days. So again, some spots, look at Jamaica, we're okay. This will be off to the east, but other spots, we need to keep an eye on Haiti and Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, U.S., British, Virgin Islands, and then again, across our front, watching over towards St. Martin's, St. Croix, depending on where this sets up, Montserrat, even down toward Guadeloupe, Dominica, just in case any of those bands kind of set up elsewhere. So this is what I'm looking at. I want to start to spell this out a little more specifically. Jamaica, we got the green symbol here, so just kind of watching this just in case things kind of shake out a little bit differently. Same thing, Colombia into much of northern Venezuela. But as we get toward Haiti and the Dominican Republic, we got the orange shading here. So we are definitely on guard. Guadeloupe, south through Trinidad, Tobago, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, on guard over toward the ABC Islands, because it will be hard to see exactly where these bands set up. But as it stands now, it does look like Puerto Rico through about Antigua and Barbuda, the best chance, I guess it would almost be the worst chance, but the highest chance, I should say, of getting these plumes of rain that work in. So in this zone, we need to think about what we'll have to do to seek higher ground if the rain starts to come. And a lot of our areas have seen substantial flooding this season, as happens in our tropical season in the tropics. But with that, this could be a little bit more prolonged. We could have over 150 millimeters, which is over about 6 inches of rain. But it's going to be more in some spots. It's going to be more than that. So it could be twice as much as that. We could be looking at 300 millimeters of rain as we go over a few day total. And you get a feel of it here. Here's the rain through Tuesday. So you see the scale here. And this is jumping out of my scale. This is kind of that shading you're seeing here. So hopefully it stays over water, but you see how close it is. If this plume's a little bit more over here, it's over the U.S. and British Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, and that would take some more of that rain, push it back toward Dominican Republic and Haiti. So they're going to be kind of these thinner bands of rain. It's going to come down in buckets. So we have to see how that kind of evolves. And even this band that works in near Trinidad, Tobago, Barbados, St. Lucia, and then watching still the heavier rain over here. But point being, these brighter colors, That's upwards of 300 millimeters of rain for a few-day total. That's over a foot of rain. So just to give you that perspective that this is a serious situation. Still not for all of us, but where we set up. Now, the next 2 days, the rain starts to pick up. Puerto Rico, for example, it'll be hot and steamy, 85 degrees, 29 Celsius. Scattered rain and storms today. The higher chance of rain starts to pick up further, and then just even more so, of course, through the weekend. I showed you that in the model. Breezy conditions with this system that starts to pick up. And again, the Bahamas down the road, we'll see how this evolves tropically. So I'm not putting you in the back of my mind. You're in the front of my mind. But again, the initial stuff will be through here, and then we'll see if something does spin up and get a name over toward the Bahamas. Much of the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, there is going to be some heavy rain, not for the entire stretch of 700 plus islands of the Bahamas, but we're going to break that down as you hang with us over the next few days. But you see the wave heights starting to build in some spots, nothing too substantial yet, but we're going to start to see some things building, and then especially up to the north. So kind of a rough go at times for our mariners and captains out there, because this is such a sprawly system. What I mean by that is it may not be super organized. We may not be looking at this like compact hurricane. It could be not even a named system, just a sprawly rainmaker and some gusty winds. So as far as intensity eventually goes, really hard to tell. Most of the models have this kind of as a broader system, almost subtropical in nature, which just means not as compact. I'll leave it at that, I guess. I hope that made some sense. All right, we get a look here. I just want to get a look at Martin. Still technically a hurricane. It's losing its tropical characteristics. My points with this is it's going to get caught up in the upper latitudes and kind of swing in to some sections, England, Ireland. We could see some higher winds. It's not going to be a hurricane at the time. It's going to be subtropical in nature. But point being, down the road, especially by the time we get into early next week on Monday, some of the winds will be picking up in parts of Europe, Western Europe. So if this system we've been talking about eventually gets a name, the next name on the list is Nicole. But again, significant flooding. We're going to be on top of this. Please think what you need to do. If you're in the Virgin Islands or Puerto Rico, I hope these rain bands are offshore, but if they set up on top of you, what you'll need to do to be out of one of those rivers, I can't remember, we've had a ton of storms this season, but where you've had those storms where in Puerto Rico where the rivers are really, getting full this season. If you felt a little off guard or a little nervous in those situations, now's a good time to plan ahead. So kind of take the nerves out of it. Hey, if it looks like the rain's going to set up on me, this is what I'll do to stay safe. And that's the goal of this channel, to help keep you safe best I can. I'm going to be on top of this for you and let you know the very latest. Hope you have a good rest of your day.